Minister.
Good afternoon, Excellencies. I would request all the Excellencies to please. Yes, sir.
And my request to everybody will be that they can mute their mics. I will mute my mic. And when somebody wants to speak, they can raise their hand. And Mr. Director General, I hope somebody is there conducting the proceedings.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Megha,
Okay,
sir. I'm here, sir.
So we are muting our mics. Now we can begin.
Sure, sir. So good afternoon, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and all the dignitaries present in this meeting. Thank you for joining us today. As you know, Excellencies, the ISA is working towards reducing investment risks in rapidly growing economies to deploy solar projects by sharing the expertise of ISA partners. To take this endeavor further and strengthen ISA's efforts, this meeting is convened with the prospective partners from the private sector. It is our privilege and honor to announce that Honorable President of the ISA Assembly will preside over the meeting and guide us. Before we start, I request all of you to observe silence for 1 minute for COVID-19. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I would now request Excellency Mr. Upendra Tripathi, Director General ISA, to welcome the guests and set the context for today's meeting. Over to DG
President of the ISA Assembly and Minister for Power and Renewable Energy, Government of India, Excellencies from various embassies and some of the national focal points who have joined from their countries, and corporate leaders. Today, it's actually a day of pleasure. And ISA has moved a long way from the days you all supported, right from the days in Paris. And today, in fact, we have two very powerful ideas from the Honorable Prime Minister of India and two very powerful ideas from the President of the Assembly. Those two very powerful ideas from the Prime Minister that have come is one world, one sun, and one grid. I'm not going to the details of one sun, one world, one grid, but this is something that is going to move the world during the next decade. And the other powerful idea that India is thinking of is the World Solar Bank. In fact, the industry will be very much enamored to think of a World Solar Bank. We all have known about a World Bank, but to think of a World Solar Bank with a $2 billion equity, and which can raise $8 billion in the market and co-finance to the extent of 20%, bringing in $50 billion a year to the market for greenfield and brownfield projects is something very powerful for the industry. I'm sure if it matures, if it comes through, the industry will be very, very happy to welcome the World Solar Bank. And the Honorable President of the Assembly, during the last month, he has given two very powerful ideas. One is called, of course, the Host Country Day. India's first international organization is International Solar Alliance. Today, we have 87 signatory countries, 67 members, and one day this organization will have 194 members. All UN countries will be its members. And the host country, we are very proud of the host country for its funding, for its promise for the headquarters that's going to come, and handholding, because every international organization needs a host country. In fact, when the host country notification was notified on 6th of June 2018, the Secretariat got its juridical personality on that day. So in a sense, we are just 2 years old legally. And the host country day idea is that during the assembly, we have 28 states, we have 8 UTs, and all of them can be given an opportunity to showcase their investment potential, their tourism potential. In fact, the world can reach out to them and they can reach out to the world. That, of course, is not the subject of today. We are meeting shortly the resident commissioners of all the 28 states and 8 UTs, and the Honorable President will be chairing that meeting. But today's idea is the latest idea that he gave 15 days back, and we're all working on it a month back, is called Coalition for Sustainable Climate Action. In fact, the point that the president was mentioning is simple. The Indian industries and many other industries, they are doing a lot of things, but they need a global face, particularly the industry, the host country, and we're having a separate meeting for the industries from outside. And the idea of inviting the countries today was that the same thing will apply to the corporates in all member countries. So what exactly we plan for the Coalition for Sustainable Climate Action? We have structured a presentation today, and I'm very proud to inform that so far we have got 13 corporate partners, thanks to the Confederation of Indian Industry, who chairs our Committee for Research Mobilization. They were the ones who got us SoftBank with a contribution of $2 million and CLP with $1 million. And we also got 11 partners, public sector undertakings. I'm not going to take the names here, but you all know. And let me assure you, all this money that we got, it is in SBI. Not a single paisa has been spent out of this corporate money contribution we got, not even the interest. So when today the new corporate partners come, you actually inherit some amount of wealth that has come from these 14 corporate partners earlier. But that is not important today. Important is the Coalition for Sustainable Climate Action, which will focus on gender issues, which will focus on energy issues, particularly in the space of energy. As you know, 2 billion women have no access to clean cooking medium. Around 1 billion are still without energy access. So the Honorable President's idea is that what he did in India, or India did, providing 26.5 million connectivity in a record time, creating history in the world. Something similar can be done globally also, and the corporates can play a very important role in this drive through ISA. So ISA is a common platform where all we can work together. I won't speak further, but I welcome all of you today, not just to a meeting to be chaired by the president, but today you are trying to play a historical role, trying to focus something which in the 21st century seems so odd that there are still 2 billion women who have no access to clean energy. And this is in a 21st century economy with $78 trillion. I know there is impact of COVID, but we have to have new normals, as you all say. With this, I welcome everybody. I'm particularly thankful to the countries who are present today and to the corporates who took their time. I know some of them couldn't come because of the COVID, but we will have more meetings as such. With this, once again, I invite everybody, I welcome everybody, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. On 27th of April, Honorable President had green flagged ISA's initiative to launch global tender for 47 million home power systems, despite COVID challenge, with the efforts of our esteemed coalition members.
You're not audible. Sir, I'll switch over to the next one, sir. There's some technical problem with Mega. Sir, I'll request now Jagjit, our Director of Finance, to make a presentation on the theory of change. The idea is we would like to inform the corporate sector as to what is the theory of change and how ISA is trying to move further and forward. Jagjit, to you.
Thank you, DG. I hope my slides are visible, sir.
Yes, it is visible. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Honorable President of ISA Assembly, Minister R.K. Singh, thank you very much for giving ISA this opportunity again to present our theory of change to esteemed member of Indian corporate family, which are leading the charge on renewable energy and on solar energy. What I'm going to present before you today is ISA's theory of change, which essentially would provide you a mental map of how ISA operates and how ISA intends to achieve its objectives. Before I go to ISA's theory of change, let me bring your kind attention to the two big challenges of our times. One is how we address SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which global community has collectively agreed, and addressing the issues of climate change. These issues are not new to you. In your corporate activities, you are trying to address these by making investments, but also through your CSR activities. But if we take a global view of these challenges, we can bucket them in three distinct problem or issues. One issues relate to energy access. We all know that if we don't change our course of action, 650 million people would remain still without energy access even by 2030. And these populations are primarily centered in Africa. India made a big leap in last few years, and we've been able to provide electricity to all homes, which have brought these global numbers down. And maybe there is now the opportunity to take Indian example and lessons global. Second set of challenges center around energy security. Uh, just looking at some of the numbers, you will see on the slide that many of our small island developing states, which are members of ISA family, they struggle with high fossil fuel dependency. Up to a level of 20% of their GDP is dependent on imported fossil fuels. And third set of challenges, which are directly linked to climate change mitigation, are the energy transition issues, where we need to move our electricity generation to 50% while we stand currently around 35%. These challenges are more centered around emerging economies and developed countries, India being one of them, but many other member states of ISA like UK, France, Netherlands, and others are making strides in the energy transition journey. Again, you all are very familiar, given the leading role you play in Indian solar or renewable energy journey. You have supported in the genesis of ISA. Just to refresh, ISA was launched at COP21 in Paris, the big movement where global leaders came together under the able leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and supported this creation of international body which will exclusively focus on solar energy to address the three challenges I talked about earlier, whether it's energy security, energy access, or energy transition. Let me draw your attention to how ISA is trying to put its methods together in supporting member countries to address these challenges. Um, I'll draw your attention from kind of going from top to bottom, focusing first on the three key challenges I talked about. And the way ISA wants to address these challenges is focus on two prime issues. One is to reduce the cost of technology, a topic you all are very familiar. Second is to reduce the cost of financing. Still, the cost of financing in most of our member countries is in double digits and higher double digits, and there is a need to bring the cost of financing down, given the affordability in most of our member countries for these applications and energy services is pretty low. And ISA aims to mobilize about $1 trillion of solar investments by 2030. Currently, the solar investments over about $150 billion a year. But let me underline these, that most of these investments, if not all, about 80%, they are in 10 countries. So still we have a whole globe where all these opportunities for solar investments could be harnessed. ISA's work has been structured around currently 6 programs, focusing on agriculture sector with solar water pumps application, solar rooftop, solar mini grids, e-mobility and storage, utility scale solar parks, and a cross-cutting program on affordable financing at scale. Soon, in months, in October, when we will have our third assembly, we may be launching a seventh program on solar heating and cooling. ISA's value chain works on bringing countries together in taking a political commitment around these programs. They come together in setting standards, benchmarks, and best practices, and take upon themselves investment mobilization targets. Let me make it a bit real for you. One of the programs where we made this progress is solar application for agriculture use, where through demand aggregation, about 270,000 solar pump demand was aggregated. Countries took upon themselves to move forward with this demand. ISA put together a global price discovery tender with the help of EESL, and today we would be talking about another tender to be launched today. It led to a global price discovery where discovered prices are about 30 to 40% lower than the prevailing price. Collectively, what that means is ISA has brought two member countries a price reduction of about $1 billion. We support in project preparation and investment mobilization. The cross-cutting issues where ISA focuses is on advocacy for more solar investments, providing support to member countries on policy and regulatory support, institutional and capacity building, and finally, de-risking of investments. The four key roles to which we have been trying to focus our efforts, I'll go clockwise, starting with our enabler role, where we work on awareness creation through customized training programs, certification programs, supporting local R&D, and supporting members through global and regional analytics. Second role which we have tried to focus our efforts is our incubator role, where we put together the best brains possible to incubate the idea. One of the example has been the common risk mitigation mechanism, which is now being operationalized as Solar Risk Mitigation Initiative by the World Bank and AFD, which was incubated by ISA through a global task force. We are working on creating a dedicated investment platform for SIDS and LDCs. Latest in this initiative was ISA Cares initiative, where we are aiming to solarize one primary healthcare center in each district of these member countries. Going on to the facilitator role, where we are working with industry partners, countries, think tanks, and experts on preparing solar standards, benchmarks, and solar roadmaps, helping member countries in strengthening their nationally determined contribution as an input to Paris Agreement, showcasing their commitment to global community on mitigation of climate change. And finally, as in accelerator role, what we do is we aggregate the demand. What you're going to see today is a demand aggregation of about 47 million solar home systems, which have been aggregated, and we will go through a price discovery tender, and solar water pump aggregation has already been achieved. What ISA tries to do is not all by itself. We are a network-based organization with strong partnerships agreed with most of the leading organization in energy and development financing space. And you see on the list, the coverage is very broad and deep, starting with multilateral development banks to UN organization, to Global Solar Council and others. And we have similarly a list of corporate partners, 13 of them, which we are working very closely to harness the energy of private sector to drive this solar revolution as we talk about. Some of the key achievements of ISA, and I'll leave with that. We have been able to aggregate a new demand of solar investments worth more than $5 billion, which would be a good news for all industry partners. These projects are currently at concept development stage, and we are making an active effort through country missions and preparing pre-feasibility studies that these concept proposals turn into real and solid pipeline of projects. On the analytical side, we launched a global solar investment report and ease of doing solar report, by which we provide a comprehensive risk analysis of a country's ecosystem for solar investments. This year, we would be launching a report covering all our 86 countries on their solar ecosystem, which may come handy to all our corporate partners as they think through investing in these countries. To strengthen the bottom-up capacity in our member countries so these investments remain sustainable and reliable, we are working with countries to establish or certify existing centers as ISA Star C centers. You are familiar with National Institute of Solar Energy. Just imagine equivalent of NICE in all our member countries and the kind of strengthening and capacity building it could do. And to fast track the capacity of our member countries, we've been working on training of trainers, mid-career professional, MBA program, MTech program, and soon we'll be launching MBA program. Just finally, on broader investments, two of our big sovereign supporters, India and France, have earmarked about $3.5 billion of their aid, and we are actively working with them so that these numbers turn into real projects on the ground. With that, Honorable Minister and President of ISA Assembly, I thank you for your kind attention. I'd be happy to provide any clarification if required. Thank you very much, sir.
Well, thank you, Jagdeep. Megha, are you back?
Yes.
Right. Okay, go ahead, take over.
Thank you, sir. On 27th of April, Honorable President had green flagged ISA's initiative to launch global tender for 47 million home power systems, despite COVID challenge with the concerted effort of our esteemed coalition members.
Well, the next presentation is by ISA's Coalition for Sustainable Climate Action. I will request KPMG to make the next presentation, please. KPMG, to you.
For the network problem.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes,
please go ahead.
MDEASL, Mr.
Very good afternoon to the Honorable President, the Honorable DG of ISA, the esteemed organizations, as well as other ISA officials which have joined. The topic today of my presentation is on ISA's Coalition for Sustainable Climate Action. So we had prepared this coalition in close coordination with the ISA Secretariat. So it follows from the theory of change, which Jagdeep has just described. So by ISA's theory of change, its objectives of providing universal energy access, energy security, as well as smoothing the energy transition to clean forms of energy is key. The important thing are the stakeholders who will help ISA in achieving these objectives. So some of the key stakeholders are the ISA Assembly, which consists of the key countries, the ISA Secretariat, the ISA member countries, as well as ISA's different partners in terms of such as IRENA and other organizations. One of the key stakeholders also to make ISA's journey a success will be the corporate partners. Okay, so this whole presentation is on what is the value proposition, what is the importance of ISA's corporate partners, how they can play a role in helping achieve ISA's objectives, and what can the corporate partners get in return. So it's like a win-win proposition for both ISA as well as the corporate partners. So coming to the context, globally corporates are taking a leadership position in driving initiatives for combating climate change. A number of leading organizations have come to the forefront in playing a leading role in fighting against climate change. As some of the countries and governments in the world have not played enough proactive role, the corporates have been pushed to take more of a front seat in fighting climate change. The traditional economic landscape has also transformed. The demographics have also changed. The millennial generation not only focuses on profits, but they also want to make a social and environmental impact. So businesses have to be cognizant of this change reality and transform their own organizations to take some of these objectives in mind. So a number of corporations have taken a lead in clean energy investments. A large number of corporations such as Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft have already put in hundreds of billions of dollars into energy investments. A number of organizations have set targets to become totally net zero carbon and are pouring millions of dollars into RE investment. Next slide. Jasleen, can you move to the next slide, please?
Yeah, go ahead from your own copy.
This is fine.
Sure.
The next.
Yeah. I will. So there are a number of. I think you have moved to the next slide. This is fine. Okay. So corporates have are working closely with governments and government organizations in achieving sustainable development growth. Some of the key organizations such as Maersk, which is a leading shipping company, is a founding member of the Getting to Zero Coalition, wherein senior leaders across the maritime energy sectors are closely working with decision makers and governments to explore climate change mitigation and adaptation solutions. Shell, which is one of the biggest oil and gas companies in the world, is a founding member of the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, which aims to accelerate and deploy solutions to help the problem of plastic waste, which has become a huge ecological issue around the world. Shell is also committed to its net carbon footprint ambition, which aims to reduce carbon intensity of its products by 20% by 2035 and 50% by 2050. It's a very ambitious target if you consider that Shell is one of the biggest oil and gas companies in the world with a very large carbon footprint. Schneider Electric, which is again one of the biggest electrical conglomerates in the world, has launched the Energy Access Ventures Fund, which is a triple P partnership which aims to finance energy access projects in sub-Saharan Africa. For example, Power Africa is another initiative which is aiming to solve the issue of energy access in sub-Saharan Africa. This has been led by USAID, and there are 140 corporate partners which are closely working with USAID in solving this issue. Next slide, please. So ISA, right from its very inception, has been closely working with corporate partners, and a number of these corporate partners have already gained worldwide recognition for their work in solving the climate change issue. So there are 13 partners which have already partnered with ISA. Some of them are very leading names, both from the public sector, such as NTPC, ESL, as well as the private sector, such as SoftBank and CLP. So as we go on, we hope that many of you also partner with ISA in helping meet some of the issues in climate change. So what is exactly the ISA's Coalition for Sustainable Climate Action? So what it has been surmised is that the coalition will be a consortium of public and private entities, which will work in the direction of universal energy access and meeting the climate change targets. Okay. So, and its mission would be to build strategic partnerships between investors and policymakers to promote the role of private sector financing in developing clean energy projects in ISA member countries. The key priorities would be strengthening implementation of access to clean energy programs, projects, and activities. Some of the programs, such as solar pumps, are already have moved to a certain level. The price has already been discovered, and projects are being conceptualized in different ISA member countries. The second priority would be to enhance policy and technical support to member countries. It would also help in facilitating technical and financial support for solar projects. So one of the ISA's key objectives is to mobilize $1 trillion in investments towards solar over the next 10 years by 2030. So private entities, private funds, investors would play a key role in helping meet this objective. So these are some of the initiatives. Next slide, please. So how does this coalition help the corporate partners? So ISA aims to assist its partners in developing a triple bottom line. So the triple bottom line is not only focusing on profits, but also on the people as well as the planet. So climate change has become a very key and a burning issue in the world right now. And if corporates don't take action right now, it will have some effect going forward. Just yesterday, I read in a Reuters report that there has been more than 1,600 litigation over the past 1 year in developed countries against corporates and governments for not taking enough action against the issue of climate change. So this initiative will help mitigate some of those risks for the corporate organizations. Next slide, please. So there are two aspects to the issue. How is partnering with corporates helping ISA drive the solar energy transition issue? The first thing is it provides expertise to identify climate change opportunities in member countries and to leverage their experience, because a number of the companies have a very good experience in these ISA member countries in Africa. They know what the issues are, what if changes in policies needs to be done. And that kind of experience and expertise will be required by ISA as it tries to change the policy and regulatory dynamics in some of these countries, tries to influence so that more solar energy can be installed. Some of these corporate partners can also be ISA's brand ambassador and represent ISA at global events, discussions, and conferences. One thing that corporate partners can also do is to contribute to the Corpus Fund to support ISA in its different programs and activities. Some of the corporate partners have already contributed to the ISA's Corpus Fund. It also helps to provide integrated support to implement programs and activities. ISA alone cannot implement the whole program and project. It requires partners, and private players, given their resources and network, can play a key role in helping implement some of these programs. They can also serve on international projects by offering their time and expertise using some of their CSR funds and their CSR resources. Because a lot of the countries, especially in ISA member countries in Africa, there is a huge paucity of both resources as well as skills. So corporate partners can play a key role in helping fill this gap. Next slide, please. So coming to my final slide, and this is the key slide for the corporate partners. So what is it for the corporate partners to become a member of ISA's coalition? The first part is that they will become a part of ISA's global network. ISA's global network is already quite large. There are more than 85 countries who are ISA members, and with a change in the constitution, all the 190 member countries who are part of the United Nations will become a part of the ISA's global network. So the corporate partners can have a much larger reach being a part of ISA's global network. It also helps showcase the brand of a particular organization, because the products and services can be shown in key industry stakeholder events. ISA going forward is going to have a number of events and meets. ISA Sun World is being planned to be done every 2 years in India and 1 year abroad. So the brand will get a much bigger visibility. It will also help in getting a streamlined access to new markets, because ISA is working very, very closely with its member countries. And the opportunities in these different countries will be easily available to the corporate partners through a database of opportunities, different kind of projects that are being done. ISA has already prepared more than 18 pre-feasibility reports. So ISA corporate partners have free access to these reports. They will also become ISA's partner in these programs, the programs on solar parks, programs on solar rooftop, mini grids, solar pumps. They will also have a bigger say. ISA, given that ISA has a very strong reach across the policy, global, regional levels, so ISA corporates can use this network to make their voice heard at the very top decision-making levels. They will also help in gaining strategic industry insights and learning outcomes. So they can get an insight on which member country is progressing, how fast on different programs, where is the policy level. As Jagjit said earlier, ease of doing country reports will be published for all ISA member countries. So corporates can easily look at the ranking of these different countries and make their decisions on where they want to invest their money and time. Next slide, please. So that covers my presentation. Thank you all for listening. I'm happy to answer any questions or any clarifications that are needed. Thank you.
I think we will open it now for any questions. Any questions either to the previous presentation by Director of Finance or the present presentation by KPMG?
Can I ask one question?
Please go ahead.
Sunil Jain. Well, it's like a public-private partnership when you talk of corporate. I was just seeing through the corporate profiles of all the people who have aligned with ISA. ISA was formed with the Indo-French venture, which, with an Honorable Prime Minister and from India and Honorable French President signed this MOU. I believe on an Indo-French forum, we should try to bring some French corporates also into the ISA. That should be probably our game, and maybe the bodies, CII or FICCI and all, can work through this to bring some French companies who are also incidentally working in India to be a part of this ISA platform. Thank you.
Well, we are reaching out to French companies also. In fact, in another meeting, NG participated, and we have another session on 21st. We'll be inviting European companies, and we're in close touch with French government. In fact, I sent one of my directors to meet some of the corporates. We are persuading them to come in, and I'm sure, not only France, Europe, and Australia, and Japan, and UK, they all will come in. Once we establish a little more, they all will step in. But thank you for the suggestion. And we will work on it. And I'm sure CII will take note of it. They in fact got SoftBank. They're the ones who got SoftBank and CLP. I'm sure they will also spread their network to other parts of the world.
Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone? Well, if not, I'll explain. Among the partners, we have requested some to share their thoughts. And
Mr. Tripathi, I believe a presentation is still pending from ES, that launch of the global tender.
That will come before your speech, sir. That will come before your speech. You will launch and then you will give your speech, sir.
Right.
I'll request Mr. Vinay Dayal, Director Technical Coal India, to give their experience of being a corporate partner.
Good afternoon, sir. I apologize on behalf of Director Technical CL, who had to go and attend one more important meeting. So I am RM Vanare, General Manager and in charge of the solar initiatives in Coal India. I, on his behalf, will be sharing the experience that we have gained in all these years. Thank you, sir. Honorable Minister of Power. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Honorable Minister of Power and New and Renewable Energy, R.K. Singh Saab, President of ISA and President of ISA Assembly, Honorable Director General ISA Tripathi sir, CIL is indeed honored to be part of this virtual meeting in sharing our experience as ISA corporate partner. Today's talk is focused on Global Coalition for Sustainable Climate Actions. Honorable PM has termed ISA as a gift to the world. This aptly expresses India's concern for climate change, low carbon growth plan, and greater green benefits. Shri R.K. Singh Ji, Honorable Minister of Power, New and Renewable Energy, holding the distinction of being the President of ISA, is yet another testimony of India's seriousness about solar power generation. ISA's efforts for a global coalition at this juncture, when the world is going through COVID-induced economic slump, is a praiseworthy endeavor in bringing the solar resource-rich countries on a common platform for a positive, sustainable climatic action. India has pledged a target of installing 100 gigawatt of solar power by 2022 and reduction in emission intensity by 33 to 35% by 2030. The objective is to make solar energy available to the remotest communities and creating a clean planet. India is a signatory to COP21 Paris Climate Change Conference and is committed for climate change and to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions and limit global temperature. Tackling climate change is impossible without reducing dependence on fossil fuels. This perhaps may sound paradoxical coming from a coal industry official, but the issue here is greater national interest and clean climate goals. As a consequence, India is focusing in a big way on cleaner and greener energy forms, renewable energy, especially solar. The cost of renewable energy with solar power in the lead has been dropping down considerably over the past few years and does pose a certain pricing challenge to the coal-based power. All energy resources are being perked up for the national developmental goal. The share of renewables in electricity generation has gone up considerably in the recent past. If not now, certainly at some point of time in future, renewable energy will challenge coal's supremacy in the energy sector. Presently, Indian primary commercial energy needs are predominantly met by coal because of its abundance, availability, and affordability. But the country's planners are committed to migrate to cleaner forms of energy. Solar initiatives occupy the top spot. For the benefits of all stakeholders, a blended model of renewable energy like solar, wind, small hydro with coal as base load is the requirement for the present. And the same has been emphasized in the INDC COP21 for meeting energy requirements to the extent of 40% from renewable energy and balance from fossil fuels. Coal India, though being fossil fuel producer, is committed to ISA's mission. Every home, no matter how far away, will have a light at home in a big way. CIL has aligned itself as a corporate partner of ISA through a contribution of $1 million to ISA's Corpus Fund in October 18. This significant step entails Coal India to take advantage of technical know-how in renewable energy field using ISA's digital platform while implementing its solar power projects. It also provides an opportunity to actively participate in key issues related to solar power generation and explore industry developments, gaining valuable insights in the fast-growing energy segments. That is another marked advantage. I have a small presentation on what we have achieved. I'd like to share. Yeah.
You can go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, this, can it be seen, sir?
No, but we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, next. Okay. So, Coal India stands tall in its commitment of net zero energy company. So we have to implement a 3 gigawatt solar power program by investing around 3,600 crores of green capex on solar. This is by 23-24. We intend to do this, sir. To become a net zero energy company, we have to generate 3 gigawatt of equivalent of solar power. CIL has joined hands with Neyveli Lignite Corporation India Limited to steer the above solar program in the own land of Coal India and Pan India. Steps follow. We have so far initiated following steps in the form of establishing 100 megawatt green energy through solar power projects, both ground mounted and rooftop in own land. Here we have aggregated the demand for rooftop through SECI tender of 97.5. We have identified an aggregated demand of about 10 megawatt, which is under the process of implementation. However, due to COVID, some some hurdles have come up, but we are trying to overcome that. We have also issued a letter of comfort in favor of NTPC for procurement of 120 megawatt of solar power under Government of India's CPSE scheme. We have a MOU with IOC for meeting the cleaner energy aspirations of common people of the nation by way of having battery storage systems. We had this opportunity of participating in various international events that ISA had organized, and through it we participated in Poland 2018 COP24 Katowice. We also had this opportunity during that visit in 2018 to speak about Coal India, and it's this Mr. BK Panda, Chief Manager, represented us. He's there speaking. Then we also had an opportunity given by ISO to represent in the 2019 Peru summit. SunGold. This is another picture of the same Peru summit. One of our Chief General Manager, Mr. M.K. Singh, he is addressing the audience. Mr. C.S. Singh is another officer of Coal India, is addressing the audience, presenting the case at Peru. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to us.
Thank you, CIL. Thank you for all the nice snaps you displayed. And the next, I would request Mr. Rohit Modi. He is the country head of and president of India, president of the India chapter of SB Energy.
Good afternoon, sir. I hope I am clearly audible.
Yes, you are.
And thank you very much for this opportunity. At the outset, please accept my compliments to the ISA for forming the Global Coalition for Climate Change. I think it's a logical step to be taken. I believe the next logical step would be to actually move to carbon neutrality, which is all this would facilitate not only the pace of solar deployment, but also plans for end-of-life disposal. I think, next slide, please. If you look at it, the way SoftBank contributed, amongst the corporate partners, we made the highest contribution of $2 million to begin with. And the private sector has contributed roughly a little equal to the government's contribution of roughly 50-50 today, maybe 45-55. I believe, but more importantly, Mr. Masayoshi Son, our chairman, chaired the first meeting of the Global Leadership Task Force. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And where we actually got the 10 leading corporates of the world who became members of this. The Global Leadership Task Force and ISA laid out 3 key objectives to lay out innovation strategy. Innovation for those without access to electricity and clean energy, and capacity building for solar innovation. I think SoftBank has been at the forefront of innovation, with our entire platform, except our first project, being driven by waterless cleaning and technology. I believe not just solar deployment, but saving water is as important a part of climate change. We obviously use drones.
Slides are not changing. Slides are not changing.
Yeah, thank you. This is, of course, a photograph of the first meeting, which was chaired by Masayoshi Son, along with Mr. Upen Tripathi, then Secretary MNRE. You see a whole lot of people who were present there. Manoj Kohli, FICCI, Secretary General. Next slide, please. And this is the key slide. What the Global Leadership Task Force did was to create 5 missions, technology innovation missions. One on solar modules, led by Trina Solar, along with First Solar, Canadian Solar, Vikram Solar. Second on energy storage systems, led by LG Chem, including Raychem, GE, TPDDL. Third on electrical systems, led by ABB, including Canadian Solar, SMA, SunGrow. Then on grids, which was led by GE, including our POSOCO, PGCIL, ABB, Siemens, and of course TPDDL. Then working group on off-grids, which was led by OMC Power, including Smart Power India and IFC. Then we had a financial innovation mission, which was led by SBI and included L&T Financial Services, IFC, PNB, CDPQ, Total, Exim Bank, SB Energy. So 23 companies with global footprint were part of the 6 innovation missions. And each of these missions had almost 10 to 12 meetings over the last year and a half to actually take this forward. Next slide, please. You see, I can actually go on, but I think for me, I would skip the achievements part. It is very nice for me to talk about the past, but I'm sure what the chairman and the honorable minister would be interested is what's the plan forward. So can we go to next slide, please? Obviously, FICCI, and I just want to correct Mr. Upen Tripathi. It has actually been FICCI which has been driving this initiative and not CII, at least in this case, including SoftBank and CFP were both got by FICCI. And I co-chair the FICCI Committee on Renewable Energy. We obviously sent a delegation to Peru. Next slide, please. I think this is the key thing which I want to draw your attention to. That how do we drive, what are the next steps? We obviously want to drive through our various technology missions. The entire process on solar cookers, home lighting, the business model, the models of mini grid where we have submitted some things. I would again skip and go to next slide, please. This is what I believe that the Global Leadership Task Force can be the force multiplier. It has a strong base with 23 leading corporates from country and abroad as already engaged. There is a solid body of knowledge and work, but we clearly need to do much, much more. And I want you to come to next slide, please. I think if you look at it, today around the world, we have roughly 580 to 600 gigawatts of installed power base. While the International Energy Agency says in the next 20 years, it will become 5 times, IRENA actually says it will become 10 times. So the issue is whether it's 5 times or 10 times is not an issue. What is agreed is there's a huge quantum growth, whether it's 15%, 25% per annum CAGR, that is what remains to be seen. But I think one thing as we need to be cognizant of, that typically corporates don't do charity. And I think we must recognize it. It's very nice to say, do CSR, do all these activities. I understand them as a corporate citizen. But corporates will say, one, they will do compliance. Second, they will do where it makes business sense. I think and that's the fundamental recognition which we have. So if we want to leverage corporate strength, the key word is what is the value proposition that we offer? What's the value that they get? Because only then part of the value we can extract from them. And Sunil is here, Vikram Solar is here, a whole lot of other people, my friends are here. They would tell you corporates would come in very happily. Why have we not seen them contribute more money other than the first? Out of 12 corporates, only 2 are private sector, other 10 are PSUs. I think it's a matter for self-introspection, which we need to do. Next slide, please. And this is the slide where I want to draw your attention, please. The way I look at it, I think fundamentally we had what we can do right now. One, in ISA at this corporate partnerships, we can create thought papers. We can actually do a compendium of solar innovations. We can convene 2 annual conferences, one each for grid connected and distributed generation. We can have 6 monthly reports, maybe in conjunction with Google. It may be a brilliant thing to do. Today they have the entire database and we can see what's happening around the world. Second, we can reward the best innovators or implementers. We can actually choose 3 best technologies for the year or for next 3-year horizon. We can organize 5 round trips for the selected innovators and implementers to talk about their successes, to talk about the technologies. It can today be done on webinars. It can be done on conferences, seminars when the COVID world relaxes. Third, there is incredible public data available, whether with our financial institutions, whether with SECI, whether with bidders. Now, obviously, there is certain part of it which is confidential, and I understand that as a leading corporate entity ourselves. We have almost today's 10 gigawatts of contracted 10 gigawatt peak of capacity across Japan, USA, and India. Now, we have data on financing, on equity, debt, equity structuring, on leverages. We have data on imports. We have actually very precise data on, let's say, on solar prices. We have data on costs. We have data on yield. Now, we don't need to disclose the data, but we can say, look, you can actually aim for CUFs of 28 to 30% even in solar projects. We can actually aim at solar cell costs and module costs of 16, 17 cents. We can aim at, we can come down to various, we can aim at debt equity structures, whether it's 30, 70, 25, 75, these are the ranges, what can be happen. This data on cost, yield, and financing, if shared around the world, would actually make a great difference. And we teach from India and we learn from around the world. Look at one example right now. The last bid in EBEC in Abu Dhabi invited the lowest price of 88 cents. Can we make 1 rupee as a target at which we should get our solar energy? I'm sure it will delight the minister. All the challenges from DISCOMs will go away. We have already achieved the commercial parity. But can we aim? And I believe Sunil had talked 3 years ago of 2 rupees being the target. I believe the target in the next 3 years, if not earlier, would be 1 rupee per kilowatt hour of energy. How do we do that? What did Abu Dhabi did that we can copy from them and we can hasten the process? For example, they said for peak power, you will get 2.3 times the quoted tariff. But for off-peak power, this is the tariff. Now, this adjustment actually promotes the round-the-clock, the technical challenges, the 24/7 power. So I think there's a lot to learn from what is happening around the world, and ISA can play a great role in doing this. So I think very clearly on policy and regulatory innovations, what are the pricing strategies? What are the regulatory innovations? Fundamentally, the goal is when can we get 1 rupee tariff per kilowatt hour? And what all regulatory changes we need to do to reach there? I think that will be music to both the government, to DISCOMs, and to the private sector developers. That's my fundamental belief. Obviously, the fifth part is how do we do not just the solar deployment, but the entire value chain from solar manufacturing to deployment to end-of-life disposal. Today, for example, we all assume 0.5% degradation annually, which means at the end of 25 years contracted PPA, the solar modules in the plants still have 80 to 85% energy efficiency left in them. Now, you cannot write off an asset like this. Maybe we do not give them a PPA. Maybe we give them a PPA at a different reduced rate. Maybe they're open to merchant power. But issues of land lease, connectivity, power offtake would still remain. So I think as governments, and now we already have some solar plants which are already 10 years old, 8 years old. So we need to clearly move to the entire ESG framework, where it is solar, it is water, it is carbon footprint, it is the ESG framework, which talks about employee, about local community welfare, and larger societal benefits. I think if we move this, we are talking a win-win-win. Somebody will call it triple P, whatever frameworks you may call it, I leave it to you. Next slide, please. Fundamental issue is how can ISA be a differentiator? And there, sir, I have just one suggestion to make. You know, right now we have taken a decision that the contributions to the corpus will remain in the corpus. Let us say, by what I knew last, we had a corpus of close to $30 million, maybe it's more, maybe $50 million. Mr. Tripathi has set a goal of making it $1 billion by 2025. But just in the interim, how are ISA activities being funded? Today, as a corporate partner with FICCI, I can organize these conferences, seminars, workshops, thought papers, but they would either need seed funding or they would need sponsorships. I think we need to look at the ISA mandate of permitting sponsorships to fund these events, unless until we can fund them ourselves. So the entire issue of sustainability in the interim, till the corpus reaches $1 billion and the proceeds thereof can actually help us, we will need to take it as a strategy. We will need to think ourselves, how can we make ISA so much more attractive to the private corporate partner? You have done a great job. My compliments for what has been achieved. But we are not the ones to sit back on past laurels, sir. You know, I mentioned to you, today, for example, in SoftBank, we're already introducing bifacial modules. Today, we are setting up possibly the world's largest hybrid plant of 450 megawatt contracted capacity, 750 megawatt installed peak capacity. The country and you and the ministry, Mr. Sir, are working on round-the-clock peak power, 24/7 power. We are trying to set up a 24/7 charging station for the electrical vehicles, fully charged by solar renewable energy. So I think there's a whole lot of innovation which is happening. How can we convert those individual islands of excellence into a tsunami, into a movement across the world? That would be my feedback, sir. It has been really great. I think this is one movement for one organization. Yeah, I'll take 1 minute, sir. This is one movement across the world after the UN.
It is our job to
I will conclude
that our people require absolute clarity, full clarity into what we are doing.
Go ahead, please.
They are not going to come and ask us for clarity. No professional.
My point is that
no, I'm sorry. She does not need to.
She can ask us.
She does not need to. She does only needs to ask if she is not clear.
Sir, agar usko kuch
Please complete your presentation.
Sir, I'm done, sir. Thank you so much. I just want to tell you, It has been a great experience. SoftBank is proud to be leading the corporate pack, is proud to chair the meeting, is proud to work with ISA, and we are prepared to walk with you to the entire distance to make solar movement a world reality, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Tripathi.
Yes.
Mr. Tripathi,
Yes,
in
sir.
between, I hear some conversations intruding into our conference. I think the technical people will need to have a look at that.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
I hear some crosstalk. In the meantime, I mean, everybody who's not speaking, may please mute their mics.
Yes. Thank you, Rohit, for the very relevant presentation. In fact, in the ISA, the president sometimes talks about 3 types of prices. We initially talked about grid price, grid parity. Then right now we are talking about kerosene parity, which means the solar price would be matching that of kerosene price. But the ISA thinks of a price of solar, which is called near zero parity, which means it is not 2 rupees. It should flow on its own, except the maintenance part. But in any case, thank you for also reminding me that FICCI was also responsible for getting the money from you. And anyway, we are more happy that both FICCI and CIA come in the same role, and more corporates join this partnership. I would now request that we'll have 2 interventions, one by the prospective corporate partners and other by the country interventions. So the first part is intervention by prospective corporate partners. Any industry would like to intervene, that is most welcome. And just to put things in proper perspective, yes, when the membership fee was removed, we thought of $1 billion equity so that ISA can be funded out of the interest. And today we are very proud to say the government of India have put $16 million. IRIDA, SECI, NTPC, SoftBank, PGCIL, CLP, REC, CIL, PFC, ITPO, SBI. All put together, we have got $26.5 million. And this money is intact in the SBI, although interest rates have come down from 7.5 to some 6 now. And also the interest amount is intact. So that is why I told the prospective partners who will be joining, they'll be inheriting some wealth out of this. And in future, we are planning for events, not the corpus will never be spent, but when the rules will permit to us to spend the interest, we will spend it on such events so that all the corporate partners get a global profile, and we are able to move in the directions that in fact Rohit was talking about to a sort of zero carbon future. With this, I would request the corporate actors who are present today, if they have any questions or any concerns, I would request them to raise the issues now. Well, which means I think the presentations were very clear, and
sir, few people have raised hand.
Okay, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Mr. Martin.
Okay.
Mr. Martin from NG.
Mr. Martin from NG, please join. Yes, Mr. Martin from NG, I can see now. Please go ahead. Can you hear Mr. Martin?
Maybe.
No, he has raised the hand, but he's not able to hear or not able to intervene.
He is muted. He need to unmute and speak. But
could you unmute yourself and speak, Mr. Martin?
Hello, it's Mrs.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, it was just a mistake. I'm very sorry. Sorry, and it's Mrs. So thank you.
Yes. Could you intervene now?
No, sir. I clicked on the hand by mistake.
Oh, okay.
I apologize.
Okay, that's a good sign. I think you will be a corporate partner. Thank you.
Sorry.
Anyone else after that? In fact, NG has been your CEO. Yes, please go ahead.
Mr. Tripathi, this is Ashish Khanna from Tata Power.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, compliments to you and to the Honorable Minister that this initiative has actually taken off in a very good direction, as well as the initiative by each one of you. I like to particularly compliment you.
Mr. Khanna, you need to come closer to the mic so that you're audible.
Sir, no, I was complimenting the leadership, especially you, sir, and Mr. Tripathi and his team for taking this initiative off in such a manner. Especially the recent, the tenders, the ICB tenders for the pumps which they have come out with, and the price they have discovered, I think is amazing. The whole process has been very transparent, and I'm very sure that most of the countries will be really able to take benefit of all the advancement which we have done in India. I have only two suggestions for your consideration. One is that the countries which are involved in this ISA have their specific needs, whether it is pumps or it is microgrids. We all need to, today we are having certain solutions which we are trying to deploy, but we are missing the R&D which is required to make it more cost optimum, especially for the needs of these countries which are a part of the ISA. So if certain initiatives can be taken at this level for developing those technologies which suits this purpose of microgrids and pumps, that will really help us rather than just cost optimizing because of volume and value. That's my first suggestion, sir. The second part is that when there are manufacturers like India who are bidding and are going out for export, it will also help that and in this competition, we are also competing with other countries. If banks like Exim Bank can support, because if you realize the debt cost in some of these countries is much higher than our competing when we are our international competitive bidding. If this support from the Exim banks and similar to the Exim banks outside can come to the corporate, then we will have a level playing field where corporates of India can actually export a lot. These are my only two suggestions, but more importantly is compliments to you and your team of doing an amazing job in this short period.
Thank you. It is actually a brilliant observation, and we do agree. Yes, we have, we have to do a lot more in R&D. To start with, on 8th of September at 4:30 p.m., tentatively, the Honorable Prime Minister of India will be inaugurating what we call the ISA World Technology Summit. So we are getting 8 top industries who are doing innovation. We are getting a Nobel laureate to speak and also 8 speakers. But then we are also going to issue something called Technology and R&D Charter, which essentially takes care of the R&D needs of the countries. It is about aggregation of the need of R&D and also creating a technology platform where countries can access technologies in public domain. But this is the right point. And we have also got a senior director from France who is an expert in R&D, Philippe Malebranche, and he will be leading this effort. And we do understand that we are lagging behind the R&D side, and that is why he has been sent to make it up. Thank you.
Mr. Sunil,
now, yes, please. Anyone else? If not, we will go to the Sunil. Yes.
Sir, Honorable Prime Minister's vision of one sun, one world, one grid. I think so. ISA probably should lead that thing to do inter-country, across borders grid systems. And at least while we move forward, it may be much further, at least the neighboring countries should start moving into that direction. And I believe ISA is in a very good position to lead that initiative. That is very important. Secondly, whatever the learnings are from the countries who have been able to, deploy solar in a very cost-effective manner, they should use those expertise to specially help African countries. I think that's very important because Africa is still on a distributed mode, which is in a way right. I'm not saying it's wrong, but a concept of solar park should be implemented in African countries, which will give them a better insight of aggregating the demand and moving forward. That will help them in bringing down costs. Like India, even Africa needs low cost of power. While I do agree with what my friend Ashish Khanna was saying in terms of the product development and innovations in solar products, but at the same time, you would need a little scale, and therefore solar parks in Africa and inter-country grids is extremely essential. That as ISA is ideally placed under your leadership to take forward. Thank you.
In fact, Sunil, the Honorable President of Assembly had a meeting on these specific topics. So far as ISA is concerned and One World, One Sun, One Grid is concerned, the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy have put a study. It'll take around a year, and once that comes, ISA's role, it's actually in partnership with ISA and World Bank. That part will be clear. And there, of course, you need what the Honorable Prime Minister referred to, the OPEC of the solar world. So you need somebody to regulate transmission, generation and all that. At near zero cost, the grid can get flooded. So you do need ISA's role. ISA has to start a global treaty in terms of power exchange, energy trade and all that. That ISA is aware of doing it. And so far as ISA's role will be very clearly defined, as it has to be done. That will be done. Thank you for that concern that he will do. And anyone else would like to intervene from the corporate side?
Avinash Rao. Mr. Avinash Rao.
Yes, Mr. Avinash Rao.
Honorable Minister, Mr. Tripathi, thank you for the opportunity. I represent Secura Energy, and I was listening to my dear friend Rohit speak with a lot of passion and interest on his favorite subject of mutual interest, which is solar. As I was hearing him, one of the ideas that came to my mind was why, as a nation, amongst all the corporates that have set up so many gigawatts of solar, we've got a wealth of experience going through a very steep learning curve, setting up projects of very high quality from where we made a humble beginning in 2010-11 to where we stand today. As an ISA initiative, would it be possible for all of us at Secura, CLP, SoftBank, etc., to put our heads together and come up with a guiding document that shares our experience on what has worked for us from, let's say, a technical specification perspective, so that the plants that get built in our country in future have a ready document that is available to refer. And also this document is available for all our member countries and partners going forward, so that they don't go through the same learning curve that we have gone through. And collectively, that could be our contribution as a nation to the world at large, to people who are making this beginning and transition from a fossil fuel economy to a clean energy economy. That was my limited suggestion, sir, for your consideration.
It's a very good suggestion. We'll keep it, and if it comes through, then we'll get it launched on the host country day in October. That's a good idea. I think we will request to be taken up by FICCI or CIA or some other agency. Any other intervention?
Mr. S. Gomathinayakam.
Yes, Mr. Gomathinayakam. Yes, Mr. Gomathinayakam. Well, I think there's some technical issues. The next, who is there? Would you like to?
Prateek Agarwal.
Okay, Mr. Prateek Agarwal, please take over.
Thank you, Mr. Tripathi, Honorable Minister. Sir, I saw in the presentation one of the 5 topics of ISA is also financial innovation and grid. In the topic of financial innovation, one of the ideas that have been there for a while but not implemented is the idea of a dollar-linked PPA in India. So recently in Middle East, we saw dollar-linked PPA had a tariff of about 1.3 cents, which is about a rupee at the bus bar. And so one would, there are many industries today who are already buying fuels which are dollar-linked, like imported coal. So they may not mind switching over to a dollar-linked electricity rather than buying dollar-linked coal. And they may not mind the forex risk. And this could further reduce the cost of solar power in India. Maybe we could try with 500 or 1,000 megawatts to do a dollar-linked PPA. And of course, that would then attract long-term dollar financing, which has always been a concern in rupee market in India. So this was one. And so larger, I also saw storage, whether there is active work happening in grid-connected storage, like on the likes of what we saw in Arizona and California, whether ISA is putting together some kind of a blueprint or some kind of models, just like how India has clearly led the developing world in solar, grid-connected solar. How can countries like India lead the developing world in grid-connected storage? Just two questions and maybe comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your first question is country specific, so you have to take it up in a bilateral forum with India. We won't, in the ISA forum, we won't address individual country issues. So whether dollar parity in India or not, you can take with the Honorable Minister. Today he's here in the capacity of the President of the ISA Assembly. And your second part about storage, very valid question. In fact, we have launched a program on storage and e-solar vehicles. Right now, the solar parks that we are going to take up, for example, 500 megawatt in Mali, which we assist sovereign member countries, and around 300 megawatt in Togo. We are planning if 1/10 of that park can be linked to storage 24/7 supply. But we also planning to aggregate the demand of storage in the member countries so that the scale can be brought down from $150 kilowatt hour to $100 kilowatt hour. But your suggestion that what India has done, or countries like Korea and Japan, the way the R&D is moving, we do need to focus more on storage. And right now, as I told you, we have got a directive which is dedicated for storage, and we are going to take up both R&D and demand expansion side. Thank you for the suggestion.
And we already have had two successful bids, including storage. One is a bid which was for about 1,200 megawatts for supplying power, green energy during peaking hours. That was successful. That was using storage. And the second was for 400 megawatts for round-the-clock power. Again, totally green, using storage. And future bids in our country will be storage linked. So we are aggregating the demand. We also have a program for encouraging setting up of manufacturing facilities in storage here, so which we will be coming out with. Yes, but as I said, as the Director General said, we are here today discussing the International Solar Alliance, and what the mission of the International Solar Alliance is to bring the light to those areas which are deprived, to bring energy to those areas which are deprived. We need to apply ourselves to that. Yes, carry on.
And anyone else, or we will switch over to the country interventions?
So no raised hands.
No raised
Mr. Tripathi, if I may just come in, I'm Rita Roy Chaudhary from FICCI. I just wanted to respond to the earlier query that under the Global Leadership Task Force of Corporates on Innovation, we also have an innovation mission on grids, on storage, on electrical systems, and a working group on off-grids. And we set up a separate financial innovation mission responding to some of the queries. Exim Bank has also been already engaged in the financial innovation mission with us. So we have very active 5 technology missions that Mr. Rohit Modi mentioned in his presentation. And these missions are indeed looking at the areas of R&D and future innovations in all these areas, including working on some of the framework documents that can be used by various member countries of ISA. I just wanted to make that intervention. Thank you very much.
And I must add that the 10 countries you identified for adding to star centers with corporate contributions, please go ahead.
Yes, and, there are 2 things, Mr. Tripathi. One is for the model star Cs that we identified. The other is we also identified 10 countries for implementing the business model for solar mini grids. So that will be the next phase of the Global Leadership Task Force. Thank you very much.
All the best for that. Thank you. CII wanted to intervene. Ms. Homa Banerjee, is that correct? Okay. If there is no one else, I request, thank you for all the interventions and interventions.
Mr.
Yes.
Sahai, Mr. Desh Sahai wanted to say something. I think I saw his hand.
Intervention. I request the countries now to intervene, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Desh Sahai. Excellency, you can speak now.
Mr. Sahai, you need to unmute yourself. Your Excellency, you need to unmute yourself. You are on mute, Your Excellency. You need to sort of unmute yourself.
Honorable President, Honorable Director General, esteemed colleagues from diplomatic missions, Excellencies, learned speakers, staff of ISA. I have the pleasure to bring greetings of the Honorable Minister of Energy of Kingdom of Tonga to you, Honorable President, and all others here. It was a pleasure to listen again to the learned speakers on various topics, and quite a few of these topics have been covered under the Sun Meets organized by ISA every month, and 28th Sun Meet is on 15th. I am sure that this invitation can go to some of the speakers who are here today. In regard to corporate partnerships, I have one suggestion that opportunities should also be given to corporate partners from other leading countries like Japan, Australia, UK, from where they can contribute to this. This is my small suggestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for your thing. Yes, in fact, next week we have another meet, mostly corporates from outside India, and we have taken from the Fortune 500 global companies, and we do give equal opportunity to all the countries. We will love to have corporate partners from other leading countries, and we are in touch with them. We do need all your help of all the member countries to get corporate partners from outside India also. And predominantly, we have only 2 from outside India, of course, but I'm sure more will join soon. Any other intervention by others? Okay. Any intervention from any other country? Excellencies, any intervention? Is it? Okay. Now we reach the fag end of the program, and it has 2 parts. Every meeting we have, of course, now 2 things common. One is prayer for the COVID victims, as well as we have an action agenda. And today's action agenda, that is what ISA is meant for, to be an action-oriented organization. We do not really give too much of emphasis on workshops, conferences, and reports, but our main focus is action. And today's action part, it will be launched first to the Honorable President will launch the tender of 47 million home power systems, which also has a component of around 250 million LED bulbs. I'll invite the CMD of ESL, who is also a corporate partner, to make a small presentation as to how they plan to move ahead with the tender. And then the Honorable President will launch it, and it will be followed by the presidential remarks.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Union Minister and President of ISA, Director General ISA, Secretary MNRE, Excellencies, Captains of the solar industry. First of all, it's a great pleasure for us to be part of this very, very important program. As the Honorable Minister rightly said, this is the share of responsibility that we have to provide to the world. I'm joined by my colleagues Rajneesh and Karan, who will be working on this endeavor. Sir, if you allow me, it's a very short presentation that we have, just to give you certain timelines and details of it. So I hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes, it is.
Sir, we stand committed with ISA for the vision to provide energy access to over 1 billion population through solar home lighting systems. So the ICB that the Honorable President will launch today covers about 53 countries for 47 million solar home lighting systems. In the first phase, we are targeting about 9.3 million systems. So this will comprise of a solar module, a battery, a provision for charge controller, a DC fan, and 5 numbers of LED luminaires. The total tender value will be about $28.2 billion US. In the first phase, it will be about 5.6. Under the guidance and leadership of the President of ISA, we would complete this process within 3 months. So just a very short background of what these systems are. There are 3 kinds of configurations that we have looked at: 100 watt, 200 watt, and 300 watt. and based on that, the charge controller and the battery sizing has been done. So this will be perhaps one of the largest ICBs to leverage economies to scale, something that we did very successfully in the LED bulb program in India and also in many other programs that we undertake, including electric mobility. So we have used internationally accepted standards, IEC and UL, for these. About 18 prices will be asked for each country from the bidder. It's a very complicated tender, so the timelines are today with the inauguration of this tender, we will upload the bid document on our website, on ISA website, and a host of other websites as per the ICB criteria. We have already fixed up a pre-bid meeting at the ISA headquarters on the 6th of August. We will complete the pre-bid amendments by the 28th of August, and the bid submission date has been kept as 1st of October, and by 15th October, we should have the bids up and running. So this actually indicates the political commitment for creating enabling environment for energy access. It will also help in social transformation, improve quality of life, and stimulate local entrepreneurship, also create jobs. So we have estimated that once the entire solar 447 million tender is executed, it will generate almost 80,000 local employment in various countries. So with your permission, I will also take a minute that as per your directions and vision, we have ESL and NTPC have been discussing with ISA what more we can offer in the same light, and maybe very, very quickly. And I have two things to report to you, which we have had detailed discussions, not just with NTPC, but also with ISA. So first is the LED bulb program, something that we have done reasonably well in India, having distributed 360 million LED bulbs. We had a detailed discussion chaired by DG ISA, and we would like to propose a similar LED bulb distribution in 28 ISA member countries. These were the first countries who joined the ISA. The entire upfront investment will be done by ESL. So these bulbs will be provided at a very low cost, and the DG ISA has desired that at least for LDCs, we will provide these bulbs free of cost. So this will be done using the carbon finance, something again that the Honorable Minister has asked us to do a similar program that we are calling Gram Ujala, which will be finalized very soon for the country. And we are in touch with various people who have these instruments available in Africa. And my final slide, sir, is again something that the Honorable Minister has guided us on the decentralized solar. We have demand of about 1,500 solar agriculture pumps from Uganda. We are trying to create an innovative solution that instead of buying a solar pump, we are trying to decouple pump with a decentralized solar plant, and we put up the solar plants, operated for 25 years, and based on the tariff that we provide, we can also replace these 1,500 pumps, and this could then be replicated in many other parts of the country, or any other country that is desirous of doing. This is something that we are already doing in the state of Maharashtra, with the Honorable Union Minister inaugurated the 100 megawatt execution at substation level. We would like to provide a similar service along with a very innovative financial structuring to make sure that there is no upfront capital required from any country, whether it is ISA member country or an LDC country. So this is what we are also working as per your directions and guidance. And with this, let me thank once again for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you, Saurabh. It's really wonderful. Of course, I had a discussion with the High Commissioner Uganda, but this is all subject to their consent. We are in a stage where we are discussing the issues with the member countries, and we don't do anything without the active consent of the member countries. But thank you for the proposal. And the carbon certificates, they're in a flux, and we have to work out how the carbon emission certificates are worked out and how ISA can actively engage with those certifications. With this, sir, now I would request Honorable President of the ISA Assembly to give his presidential remarks, which are also the concluding remarks.
We are thankful to the Honorable Minister for formally launching the ICB for solar home lighting system for 53 ISA members. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Saurabh. The International Solar Alliance, Excellencies. Let me welcome you to this conference and to this launch. Both the conference and the launch are actually seminal events. I can tell you from our experience in our country. In our country, the LED bulbs were available at about 400 rupees per bulb. Today, they are available at about 30 rupees per bulb. And this has happened because of demand aggregation. The EESL, which is launching this bid, they organize this demand aggregation, and that has brought the cost of LED bulbs down. And it has resulted in a reduction of CO2 emissions of almost 80 to 90 million tons of CO2 per annum. If you take not only the 360 million of bulbs and tube lights distributed by ESL, but also that by the private sector, which is again about double that of what ESL has done. Similarly, the demand aggregation which was done for solar pumps for ISA has resulted in prices which are almost about 35 to 40% lower than the benchmark prices which existed before the bid. And what this does is that it offers the countries an option. They have an option either to do the bid themselves, or if they find that the price of their bid is much higher than the price achieved by ISA, they can adopt the bid which ISA has conducted. The International Solar Alliance was launched by our Honorable Prime Minister and along with the French President with the objective of providing energy access to almost about 700 million people who are without access. That is the objective. And I believe that there can be no better sort of objective for any organization. This is a mission, and this is a very pious mission. And all of you who are joining with us are joining with us for this pious mission, for helping people who need help to get access to energy. And we believe that it is possible. And we believe that it is possible using solar energy, using the dynamics released by distributed generation which solar energy has made possible. And also utilizing the reduction in prices which the advance of solar energy has made possible. What remains is for us to structure the program in such a way that the countries which do not have much economic wherewithal can also utilize this. And it depends on structure. For example, the Ujala program which we launched, as to how it was structured was this, that the savings were used to pay off the capital investment, and it worked. Similarly, we are using the same model in our country for spreading solar pumps. We want to come to a stage where we are we do away with the use of diesel in agricultural irrigation. We are going to de-dieselize the agriculture economy. And the way forward is this. I mean, you use the extra energy generated by solar panels. We are giving them solar panels of a larger capacity than required to operate their pumps. And the surplus energy will be bought by the distribution company, and that will be used to pay off the loan. So the farmer does not have to bear upfront costs. So it depends on structuring it. And our challenge is structuring it. The challenges are huge. The challenges in the Solar Alliance are huge. And one of the major challenges, of course, is that the structures need to be put in place in many countries. The structures which we are used to here need to be put in place in many countries. The structure and the legal framework needs to be put in place. Once you have the structures in place and once you have the legal framework in place, then investments will come. Now we have invited all of you to join us in this pious enterprise, pious movement. It's a huge work. And because it's a huge work, it's an opportunity for all of you. But don't look upon this as only as a sort of profit-making enterprise. Look upon it as an opportunity to help countries while at the same time increasing your business. So both will go together. You will be helping countries and you will be increasing your business. And we together, you and us, will structure the programs in such a way, will structure the projects in such a way so that you recover your investments. And at the same time, the people are able to get the benefit of access to energy. We felt emboldened by our own experience. We connected about 26.8 million people over a span of about 18 months. And that was made possible by renewable energy because of the distributed generation which was possible. Otherwise, if we had thought of actually first extending the grid to cover every village and HT lines and LT lines to cover every village before bringing the light, it would have taken us a couple of years more to reach electricity to every house, you know, the remote Himalayas or whatever. The International Solar Alliance is actually faced with a major change, with a huge challenge. But we find challenges exciting. And it is this challenge which makes our existence worthwhile. We have launched, we already have the solar pump program ongoing. Now we have to structure the financing for it in coordination with the countries. We also have to put in place mechanisms for bringing finance. For that, we already have in our mind the setting up of a World Solar Bank that we shall do. Encouraging innovation, yes, it is absolutely necessary. And as ISA, we will encourage innovation and we will welcome innovation because we believe that innovation will reduce costs. And cost reduction is actually absolutely essential. But our primary focus will be, apart of course, you know, in the process encouraging innovation, our primary focus will actually be increase of access, making sure that we are able to connect every home and working with the governments, sitting down with them and structuring projects so that they are able to afford it. So finance, guarantees of payment, insurance, these are things which are going to occupy us as well, financial structure. Because without this, we are not being, we will not be able to actually roll out programs on a very large scale. Even this tender which we are doing right now, it will bring down the prices, but we'll still need to grapple with the challenge of financing. You know, there are millions of people who will not be able to pay for even the reduced price which, you know, we will get as a result of this demand aggregation. So we'll have to think of ways and means as to how to help finance this. A part of it will come from grants, you know, which for which we'll be approaching different international organizations. A part of it will have to come as loan at very low rates of interest. And the governments will have to chip in and take on this burden of this loan, which will, of course, be at very low rates of interest and spread over a longer time. But even in those countries, there will be sectors who can pay for power. And I think the key to structuring this home lighting program or access to energy program is to structure it in such a way that the price of electricity paid by these major enterprises in those countries, or major, those who can pay, that the price of electricity to such consumers, has an inbuilt differential or a cross subsidy, which can pay for the energy access to the poor. We have that, in every country. We have a cross subsidy system here, where the larger consumers pay more for power than actually the cost of supply. So it is possible, it is being done everywhere. But we'll have to structure it with the countries, sitting down with them and working with them. And we will, of course, be looking around for you to come along with us and partner us in this enterprise. The One Sun, One World, One Grid is another thing which we believe will help reduce the demand for storage and will also bring down the price of power, price of energy. Ultimately, the future which I see is that the price of energy goes down, the carbon footprint declines correspondingly as we introduce more and more solar, more and more renewables. The price of energy goes down. So at least one input cost goes down. And hopefully that will be more beneficial to the poor people in all our countries. Because I think that should be our focus. Our focus should be, how do we help the deprived? How do we help the underprivileged? And of course, how do we help our environment? As I said, I think the challenge is exciting, and the challenge is worthwhile. It is worth taking on. If we can bring light to, let's say, instead of 700 million, if we can bring light to even 350 million poor people, we will feel blessed that the Almighty has given us this opportunity to help the poor. That's what we are about, and that's what ISA is about. Insofar as financing of ISA is concerned, that I think is something I'm not really very worried about. Of course, your contributions to the corpus will be welcome, but ultimately I believe that we need to put in place a membership fee, and I think we should be doing that. I look forward to a world where the bounty of the nature provided by the sun and wind is made available at marginal cost or very low prices to all the people. And therefore, where the cost of energy is marginal. And to a world which is powered by electricity, not by fossil fuels, and where electricity is generated only by clean sources. And where electricity is used not only for lighting or heating or cooling, but also for mobility and also for cooking. So the challenge before us, of course, is one of mobility, which is the world is addressing, which we are also addressing. But also a challenge of making solar cooking or cooking using renewable energy cheaper. Right now, the cost of solar panels are still so high that a poor person can't really afford it by himself. A subsidy is required. We look forward to a time when the subsidy will not be required. Or we intend to structure things in such a way that the poor can afford it. that is the future we are looking at. Thank you all very much for coming.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Today we sort of got very good ideas today, and we'll follow up on those ideas. But incidentally, insofar as innovation is concerned, our future bids are going to have a certain percentage reserved for cutting edge technologies. And of course, we are having that conference where we will be reviewing all the leading edge technologies. Yes, Mr. Director General, you want to say something?
Sir, today was a joint event, sir, of ISA and CII. CII is our partner, and I welcome the audience, and I'll now request Chandrajit Banerjee, Director General, Confederation of Indian Industry, not only to give, to give the vote of thanks to a special address, and we are very thankful to CII for their partnership. Now to Chandrajit, to you for your special address, and that is the vote of thanks to the audience.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Director General, and thank you very much, Honorable President and Honorable Minister. I really do not wish to add much after we heard such an excellent observation given by the Honorable Minister. Thank you very much for asking me to give the vote of thanks, and I'd really personally like to laud and thank the Honorable Minister, Shri R.K. Singh, for his dynamic leadership in navigating this industry through many a storm in the recent months, particularly amidst the pandemic. And India's renewable energy scenario has been really completely remapped since our Honorable Prime Minister's very ambitious targets that were set. And we have seen phenomenal global leadership by India, phenomenal global leadership by the President and our Honorable Minister. And for us, while ISA has been conceived as an action-oriented, member-driven, collaborative platform for increased deployment of solar energy, this provides a great platform to the industry to scale up solar capacity in the world, which in turn provides affordable and accessible electricity to all. And for us, it's great to see some of our board members like CLP and others who have been brought into the fold by us to participate so enthusiastically, and the industry participation and the industry enthusiasm being so strong. We have also enjoyed a lot with pride from the industry, really, the role in reaching out and getting partners on this call so that there is true discussion as we saw in partnership. And I think that was phenomenal. And I think, again, I would like to thank the Honorable Minister for making it so much collaborative and so much partnership oriented. And as you rightly said in your speech, sir, we look forward to those dimensions being taken forward. As I mentioned, Indian industry has been in the forefront in providing solar energy at rates unimaginable till a few years ago. We can now take advantage of this large aggregated market under the ISA and set up plants in many of these countries. And second, I'd like also to really mention here that it provides new markets for many of our manufacturers who are now set to expand at a real fast pace under the Atmanirbhar Bharat program. And this will really enhance the MSME development in the value chain. And I strongly believe, given the skilled manpower that the industry has developed in the sector, the ISA collaboration will really also give an opportunity for our youth and our skilled manpower to be deployed into new geographies. So it gives us immense pleasure from the industry that the industry has been really taken in as such a true partner in India, and we firmly believe that we will be able to take this joint venture, if one can say, this collaborative function together with full resolve. And we pledge to you, Honorable Minister, sir, and to the Director General that we would be always available to you to see that a strong and a very, very appropriate participation from the industry is available always to support this phenomenal call and the phenomenal mission that we have in front of us all. So once again, I would like to thank all the countries who are participating here, and it's been a fascinating discussion session this afternoon. And I'd like to thank all the other participants who have contributed so enthusiastically. So once again, thank you to the President, and thank you very much, Mr. Director General.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Manager. Thank you. Thank you, Excellency. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this participation.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Nice to meet again and Sunwit.
Thank you. Thank you, Padi Saab, sir. Thank you, sir, very much. Thank you, sir. Very educative.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving Coal India an opportunity to speak. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.